Hi guys, welcome back to my watercolor channel, and today I paint the autumn scenery. So I thought I'd paint a really big tree and with a small bench as a focal point as well. I use beautiful colors such as deep yellow mixed with cadmium red, and then I mix a light blue out of ultramarine blue and some phthalo blue because I like the combination, and then I add more of this mixture, blue mixture, and mix it with some crimson red to create a nice bright purple. But then I wetted the paper and add the first layer, so I just use a big brush and put some orange onto the sky. It doesn't really matter if it covers the tree. Then I continue with the ground, so I use the same orange, but here the paper has dried already a little bit, and then I add some stronger orange, which means I added more cadmium red to the mixture. And some light Hooker's green. So those colors fit nicely together. And my painting is tilted, which you can see because the paint is flowing downwards. Now I use more of my purplish blue color and add it to the background behind the tree and onto the right side, so there's more of a darker area. So this is why I use more of a bluish color rather than the orange. I use a big brush, so it kind of like sucks in quite a lot of water and paint. And then while the paper is still wet but already still moist but already in the process of drying out, I use a medium-sized brush and add some of the deep yellow to the crown of the tree. So here more or less some leaves, but they are quite blurry. Some orange. And then I mixed more of a darker orange while the paper was drying, and I add with light brush strokes from the side to this other side some darker orange to the field in the background, so I don't add too many details there. And then I mixed some brown and add to the brown color some green, and also adding it to the ground. It's basically like leading towards the bench, towards the tree in this kind of direction, so it shows where the focal point is lying. And yeah, I add more of the orange as well, some darker bits here and there, but I really like to leave in between some unpainted areas, so this is why not everything is covered in the paint. Then more orange here, a little bit of a brownish color, and just adding with the tip of the brush. But on the original photo there have been quite many leaves on the ground. However, I don't want to add too many details, so again it's more like half abstract and half realistic painting, so I'm not that strict with adding so many different details, especially leaves. And then continue with the right side and adding a darker purple, and then kind of like pressing the brush really tightly onto the paper, and it's mixing nicely together. Some more of the colder bluish colors and some green, darker green. And then I mixed more brown, so I constantly mix brown color together. It seems to be running out. My brown is basically mixed out of the deep yellow, some cadmium red, and some ultramarine blue. So I try out also on a different piece of paper what the brown looks like, if it's really fitting. And then start to add around the edges of the where there's no paint, and add also some of the orange to the crown. So now I start to build up the crown of the tree. It's autumn, so I use really warm colors, orange and some yellow, ochre, and some cadmium red, or you can try as well rose madden. But on the dark side of the tree I add some more of the purple. So purple really fits nicely together with orange colors. But the left side is more in the sun, or standing in the sun, so the sunlight is shining onto the leaves, so I add more lighter colors. But here I also play around with the colors, so I add more of a light orange and a darker orange, and then maybe a little bit of a brownish colors, which I have all prepared on my side, so I can just continue adding the paint to the painting. And mostly for the edges around the crown I use the tip of the brush, but I also press the brush tightly onto the paper. It takes some time to add all the leaves, but it's quite worthy. And the colors mixing nicely together, they flow together, so I recommend a very good brush. And then I continue more. I really like the autumn time here in Finland, especially it's still not cold, but it's not that hot, not that it actually gets too hot. I think the highest temperature is maybe 30 degrees, but I'm not quite sure if we really reached the temperature this summer. But the best thing about the autumn is that there aren't that many insects, which are quite annoying for me and for my dogs, and suffering from a lot of bites from mosquitoes and from black flies. So now it's basically my favorite season, and I do enjoy it. As there's still sun shining and we have a lot of light, but yes, I can feel the winter coming soon. All the trees are dropping on their leaves. I continue with the bench, so I just add a very light layer of brown, and I'm quite careful not to add too much at the moment. I recommend to draw a bench actually ahead, because it might be a bit challenging, or at least it is for me challenging. And then adding more of the purplish color to this side, to the right side of the bench. But I wait still that everything has dried on the bench to add more darker colors. In between I add more of a darker green, and as well as around the tree. Then I use more brown as well, and now here kind of like start to work to add some single leaves in there, and more orange as well. So now I add a third layer, and also leave here some bits which are not really painted. And then I vary as well between orange and brown, and then spreading here a bit more, and then more brown to the side. Here I'm always a bit at the end of the painting. I'm slightly start to get worried if I'm overdoing it or adding too much, as I haven't done really a sketch before. And again, I try to prepare more of the brownish colors, and you can see is adding a lot of cadmium red and some ultramarine blue, and then I emphasize the unpainted area as I have done before. And now you can see clearly that the lines on the ground are really leading towards the bench. And I continue with the tree. So here I have added more yellow ochre to the mixture, and I just add a really light layer because I don't want to over paint it over, adding too much of the paint. But I mixed again a dark brown, so just on the shadow side adding more of the darker color, and it's more like of a brown purple, so not quite entirely brown. Then a little bit more of the blue and underneath the bench, and more emphasizing the trunk of the tree, and where the leaves are adding more of a dark colors and adding more of a reddish brown in between. So but still quite careful not to overpaint, and the trunk is still quite wet in a sense, so it's more of a wet to wet technique. And I have drawn the branches before because I'm really not good in adding branches like freely. So everything has been nicely arranged. And then I don't use a very thin brush, but basically I press the brush down into the paint, and as my brush is quite soft, then I turn it around and it gives a really nice thin lines. And also I make use of the tip of the brush, and I tried to work swiftly so I can create quite straight lines, and it looks much more natural. There's more branches here and then to the side, and here again it's like on the original picture there are quite many of the branches, but I don't want to add too many in my painting. Here I tried to add more of darker shadows to the bench, however the trunk of the tree was still quite wet, so it mixed together. I had to wait till everything has dried and then adding more of a darker areas to the benches. To the top and then underneath with the legs of the bench. Also now adding the details. So basically we are at the last step of the painting, and here just adding more of maybe some loose leaves on the ground and still facing going in the direction of the bench, but I don't add too much of the leaves or the darker areas. It's just that I want to have some of the contrast on the ground, as everything is a little bit of blurred. And then adding more of a purplish color onto the tree. So just adding here between the tree patterns, and also using the tip of the brush, adding more color, so making it more realistic. And especially I wanted to emphasize the bench, a little bit more of the leaves, so and branches. And then, because I thought it looked a little bit flat, so I added more of the darker orange, and it looks a bit more brownish. And then also more of the darker orange on the ground, so now it looks more like they are leaves as well, so it's kind of fitting with the tree colors. And the pigments are quite strong. And I thought I need some more light orange and yellow, so I added more to the sides and a bit more to the tree. And then as well as on the trunk, but I was not happy with it because it looked too dark, so I took it off by wetting the trunk or the area I wanted to take off, and then with a harder brush and some paper. But I still added some more of the patterns to the trunk as well. So kind of like emphasizes the leaves that are covering the trunk. A bit on the bench. And underneath the bench. So basically that was it. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe. Bye!